Chapter 1925 Crow. The queen was still digesting the words of that ancient being along the way. She vaguely felt that this must be the key information that could change the fate of the entire Huashu kingdom, or even the entire 6 generations. But after thinking for a long time, she still couldn't figure out what the important factor was. She lowered her head and asked the black dragon beside her. "Black dragon, do you know what that ancestor meant?" The black dragon rolled his eyes, and a dull sound was like thunder. "How would I know? I've been away from this place for 700 years, and the old man rarely talks to me. He sleeps for hundreds of years at a time." The queen's heart was shaken. Although she knew that the dragon race was a long-lived race with a long lifespan, according to the black dragon, the lifespan of that ancestor was even longer than she could imagine. So, how many years did that ancestor live? Black Dragon thought for a moment and said, "No one knows. I only know that he has been here since I was born. According to my grandfather, when he was born, the ancestor was already the ancestor." Later, the astonishment in S' heart became more and more severe. "But after thinking about it again, I feel that this should be reasonable. Because the changes in the anomalies are also different. Although it has only been 3 years since the end of the world, there are no signs of growth yet. However, many mutated species also show the characteristics of long legs. For example, the enhanced mutants increase their cell strength to a terrifying level. As long as they did not die in battle, they would definitely have a lifespan far longer than normal. What's more, there are even more abnormal monsters with immortal attributes, but they can live even longer. The era of great changes will shape many beings that seemed like gods in the past. Those are the gods in the myths and legends of various countries." Later, she was unable to resolve the confusion in her heart, so she planned to go back to find Meng Yuanjun and Shang Daowen and convene the entire Xinjiang think tank to analyze the words left by her ancestors. If it can be cracked, then the Huashu kingdom will surely prosper. The place where the devil's eye is sealed. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin used the principles of Chiman Duanjia and finally escaped from the Chiman Duanjia formation. But soon they decided to enter the formation and rescue the aliens from other alien teams. Ling once said that this place is extremely dangerous. Even the dormant demon king Mammon is not something that humans today can deal with. Then Zhang Yi naturally had to bring them out and share the risk together. Under Yang Xinxin's guidance, he opened the dimensional door and quickly shuttled into the formation. At this time, the situation faced by other aliens trapped in the array became increasingly difficult. Those bronze pillars cannot be destroyed at all. Even after some of them are knocked away, they will soon reassemble into bronze pillars and then fall in their most original way. But such an attack is enough to bring fatal threats to most aliens. Because only a small number of aliens are of the strengthening and beast system, most aliens need to rely on aliens to fight, and they are in a very bad state at this time. Even top warriors like Ali and Odin had to hide behind their teammates temporarily. Standing in front of the group, the one who contributed the most at this time was Sharon from the Columbia Natural Science Association. This unknown ferryman of the Styx was over 2 meters tall, like a simple and honest iron tower. His fighting style was simple and crude. He would rush forward with his muscles bulging, his legs firmly planted in the pool of water, and then he would suddenly exert force with his arms to hold up the bronze column fragment falling from the sky. Bang! He held a piece of the bronze column tightly in his arms and threw it into the sky. There was only a series of crashing sounds, and the bronze pillars were blown away like bowling balls. Cartier's body was suspended in the air, with a body of water beneath his feet supporting him. Being in the water, he could exert his strength to the fullest. His superhuman body and ability to control water allowed him to share a large part of the pressure for everyone. Of course, there is no lack of such meat shields in other alien teams. They work together, and no one is injured after fighting for a long time. Rather than calling it a formation, this place is more like a maze. Even if there are no problems for the time being, sooner or later you will be exhausted and die. Odin's sharp eyes scanned the entire bronze formation. The bronze pillars were moving rapidly, and there was no gap for them to squeeze through. Their movement is regular, but there are too many bronze columns. I need a lot of time to analyze their movement trajectories. Odibio said, there are tens of thousands of bronze columns here, and the light is too bad to see clearly. But where did Chaos and the others go? They've been gone for a long time. Canero spoke very abruptly at this time. Among them, he was the only one who kept staring at Zhang Yi. Canero has a special obsession with Zhang Yi. He regards Zhang Yi as an idol, an enemy, and an object that must be surpassed. The key point is that he has seen Zhang Yi's cunning and strong desire. So, he was sure that as long as he stayed with Jinjini, nothing would happen. When everyone heard what Canero said, they had no time to care. Because everyone is trying their best to break through, who would care about what other people are doing? Katalai's raised his eyebrows, looked at the densely packed, seemingly endless sea of bronze pillars around him, and smiled evilly. Using the power of space to travel through a place like this is extremely dangerous. If someone accidentally falls into the gap, he will be crushed by the bronze pillar immediately. Chaos might die. As expected of the Colombian Navy's foul-mouthed man, he always speaks in a way that makes me want to punch him twice. At this time, the Shadow Saladin, who had been in a state between the first dimension and the third dimension, spoke. No. Chaos is the most cautious and intelligent alien I have ever seen. He must be looking for a way. In fact, just now, not long after Zhang Yi left, Saladin also set off. For him who can dimensionalize himself, it is easiest for him to leave this place. After he turned into a shadow, his movements in the darkness were more stealthy and swift, and the bronze pillars could not hurt him. I was planning to just leave and find a way out first. However, he wandered in the entire bronze pillar forest for an unknown amount of time and finally returned to the starting point. This happened dozens of times before he realized that this bronze column formation was not that simple. If that guy really finds a way out, will he leave us here? Asgard's Loki, Belit Thomas, is a warlike short loli. She carries a baton axe that is totally inconsistent with her body shape. She violently knocks away the bronze pillars while raising questions. Everyone looked at each other, and they all had the same worry in their hearts. If you can leave here, who would come back to take risks? God will not be so kind to one person. But at this time, it was Katie Less who spoke. If he finds a way out, he will definitely come back. Everyone was very surprised. Judging from this guy's attitude towards Hundun, their relationship was not very good. Why are you suddenly speaking for Chaos? Katie Less grinned and said, He is an extremely smart guy. He knows that it is difficult for him to survive in such a dangerous place by himself. So, of course, he has to bring us along. No matter how much he hated Zhang Yi, Cartier's recognized Zhang Yi's strength. Just as he finished speaking, Zhang Yi's cold voice suddenly came from midair. You know me very well, don't you? Everyone hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound, only to see a crack open in the void and Zhang Yi walked out from it. Everyone's eyes lit up, and Ollie asked hurriedly, Chaos, have you found a way out? Zhang Yi nodded. Found it. Next you follow me, remember, you must keep up. There are too many people, I can't guarantee that everyone will not fall behind. You can do it yourself. If you miss one step, you will die. Zhang Yi was not joking when he said this. This is also the reason why he didn't take everything with him when he left. Even after a long period of observation and analysis, Yang Xinxin had already seen through that this was a Chiman Duanjia formation. But understanding it doesn't mean it can be cracked well. In such a densely packed and high-speed bronze column formation, any wrong step would definitely cause one to fall into the bronze column formation and be crushed by those bronze columns. It can be said that this formation is a super large meat grinder. There are hundreds of aliens at the scene. It must be difficult to lead such a team out. The crowd only exchanged glances for a second and then immediately replied, Okay, we will definitely follow you closely. They had no other choice. Zhang Yi asked Yang Xinxin to arrange the route, which required her to constantly calculate according to the changes in the Chimen Dunjia formation to come up with the best route. However, considering Yang Xinxin's computing ability, this is not a difficult task. The dimensional door opened and Zhang Yi said, Come on as soon as possible. Then he stepped into the dimensional door. Hundreds of people behind him followed closely, not daring to fall behind. The dimensional gate opened and closed many times, and the entire team was like a long dragon. But in this process, mistakes are inevitable, and this is what happens when there are too many of them. Those who fell behind fell into the bronze pillar formation and only let out a short wail before their bodies were immediately crushed into pieces. Even a lot of minced meat splashed onto their companions, which frightened the others and made them more cautious, not daring to make the same mistake. Zhang Yi deliberately slowed down on this stretch of road because he didn't want more people to die. Along the way, the huge bronze pillars around him made rumbling sounds, which brought him a huge sense of oppression. One wrong step would result in death, so everything had to be done with caution. Finally, after who knows how much time had passed, after their last trip, the bronze pillars before their eyes no longer appeared. The surrounding space was quiet, but the sound of panting could be heard one after another, and everyone seemed to have walked through the gates of hell. When they turned around and looked at the huge bronze column array again, they were shocked to find that it was not as boundless as they had imagined. It just gives them a special way of giving them the illusion that they can never escape. After everyone left, the bronze pillars slowly stopped rotating and then boomed, sank to the bottom of the pool. Soon, the surrounding space became quiet again. Someone tried to walk 2 steps forward and then tried to test the bottom of the pool. It was flat as a rock, and there was no sign that a huge amount of bronze pillars had ever emerged here. "It's really weird," someone murmured quietly. "It's so dangerous just now. I don't know what the road ahead will be like." Someone sighed like this. They have realized that this operation is bound to be full of dangers, and they don't know how many people will die here. But even so, no one backed down. "Where do we go next?" Some people raised questions. At this time, Sharon raised his palm. The drone has given feedback. In front of everyone, he turned on a 3D projection screen, on which many small reds were flashing. The shape here is vertical, and the hole looks like a long boot. We are in the middle of the boot. We can choose to go forward or backward. As for the areas further away, the signal can no longer reach them. There is a very special magnetic field here. I think it comes from the sealed demon King Mammon. Everyone exchanged glances again. Saladin walked to a place not far from Zhang Yi and suggested, "Since Chaos led us through the first hurdle, I suggest that he make the decision next." Saladin is a smart guy. Although Zhang Yi did not have time to tell them that this party used the ancient Chiman Duanjia formation of Huaxi State, he instinctively realized something. However, Ali raised his hand and rejected the proposal. "Regarding the ceiling, we should still ask professionals." He looked at Aodibio, the patriarch of the Ao clan. "Chief Odibio, please show us the way." Zhang Yixiao didn't say anything. He wanted to see if Odibio had any special tricks. As for him and Yang Xinxin, they didn't understand what the connection was between this place and the ancestors of Huaxi State. It's better to wait and see and let the professionals come. Odibio walked to the center of the group holding the bone scepter and said, "As a shaman of the O family, I can sense the evil aura of the demon god. As long as I follow this method, I will be able to find his location and seal him." He raised the bone scepter high in both hands, closed his eyes, and began to chant again. "Tung, tung, tung." He shook his head like a madman, and flames suddenly appeared in a circular area with him as the center. A faint green flame. He chanted faster and faster, shaking his head and dancing continuously. The members of the surrounding Ao family began to beat the rhythm. The speed of the dance was getting faster and faster, and there were more and more dark green flames. In a trance, Zhang Yi saw heads in the flames. They were hideous and terrifying faces, as if they were enduring some extreme pain. The most primitive way to stimulate inspiration is pain. Therefore, when making forbidden objects in ancient times, people would choose to use cruel methods to cut off certain parts of the body. In this way, when they are killed and die, their painful resentment will be sealed in the forbidden device, and they can gain powerful strength. Zhang Yi had seen this when he was in the southwest region. For example, The gate of eternal destruction constructed with the bones and blood of tens of thousands of people, and the Vajra pestle used to seal the prince of Nash Kingdom. The more primitive African tribes probably sacrificed more lives to make forbidden objects, and the rituals were more cruel. Call. The wind blew, and all the flames fell in one direction. Odibio's movements suddenly stopped. He looked in that direction, stretched out a black finger, and said, "The evil power is in this direction." Zhang Yi tightened the blood-colored magic knife in his hand. This weapon, which was remade from the Yichigal magic sword, made him feel more at ease. Be prepared for battle. Danger can strike again, at any time, especially when we approach the area where Mammon is sealed. Zhang Yi said to the crowd, subconsciously lowering his voice. Everyone nodded. Odibio's words further manifested their nervousness and a hint of fear. Khan stood beside Zhang Yi and whispered to him, "Let's move back a bit. I feel like something bad is going to happen up ahead." Zhang Yi glanced at him and smiled. Isn't this inevitable? However, he still listened to Khan's words and lagged behind him by a few steps. As a friend for many years, Khan has always been like a brother to him and has saved his life many times. Therefore, Zhang Yi has more respect for Khan's words. Everyone waded through the water, moving forward at a leisurely pace. At the front of the team were the Knights Templar led by Ali. As the organizers of this action, they must bear this responsibility. The surrounding area was vast and empty, and the lake was silent, with only the sound of splashing water from their footsteps. The almost empty space brings extreme depression. Suddenly, the Templar Knight at the front shouted, "Back off. There are enemies." Everyone stopped and immediately assumed a fighting stance. Zhang Yi looked forward and was surprised to see three shapely creatures standing in the shadows. His pupils suddenly contracted, and a chill on his back slowly crept up his neck. How so? His proud, divine domain, which could detect all movements around him, did not even notice the existence of these three animatronic creatures. They stood quietly in the darkness, holding stick-like weapons in their hands, as if they suddenly emerged from the darkness. The crowd can only judge the things around them through the bat system and cannot see their full appearance. A Templar Knight raised his hand, and a strange energy in his palm gathered, and a thick book emerged. God said, "Let there be light." And there was light that illuminated the world. As soon as he finished speaking, the pages of the book turned automatically without wind, stopping at the page where the gods created the world and created light. In an instant, a bright light illuminated the space, revealing the true appearance of the three humanoid creatures in the shadows. When they saw their appearance clearly, everyone felt extremely uneasy, as if they had seen something that they physically hated and feared. Cold, dark, and sticky. They were three body-shaped soldiers, wearing ancient armor, dark red hats on their heads, and holding a weapon in their hands that looked like a gun but was not a gun. The point is, their heads are not human or human-like, but the heads of giant crows. Three crow soldiers, with dragon bodies and crow heads and black scales as if made of black iron, icy cold. They don't seem to have any special features, but for some reason, they cause fear from within. This is the uncanny valley effect, which occurs when humans see something non-human that behaves very much like a human. Ghostwalker. Odibio shouted in a deep voice. This is a follower of the devil. As soon as the crowd recovered from their initial panic, several Templar Knights rushed over. A Templar Knight summoned a raging flame that gushed out from his palm, and in an instant, it turned into a raging flame that enveloped the entire area in front. Laugh. A black light passed through the flames, splitting them in two. The crow soldier stared at everything in front of him expressionlessly, raised the strange spear in his hand, and rushed forward as well. Two Templar Knights in heavy armor came forward with huge two-handed swords and chopped them down fiercely on the head. The crow soldier waved the spear in his hand at a high speed and swept across without dodging. In a split second of fighting, the two sides missed each other, and the bodies of the two Templar Knights were directly split in half from the middle, with blood splattering. You know, these are all elites, and each of them has an ability index of over 9,000 points. As a result, He was killed instantly by a single shot from the Crow soldier. The Crow soldier's fighting style was very simple, without any fancy abilities. He just used the spear in his hand to directly hack to death two heavily armored warriors. Liang Yu emerged from the shadows, stood beside Zhang Yi, and said with a serious look, "This is a master." Although it was just one attack, Liang Yu could tell at a glance that the three Crow soldiers in front of him were all aliens with very skilled combat skills. On the Ao clan side, Ao Tsongtian stood up, roared, raised a dark stick in his hand, and led the clan members to rush forward. The three Crow soldiers seemed unable to see the difference in numbers between the two sides and charged straight forward, forming a triangular battle formation. When he saw the Ao family's men rushing towards him, he immediately turned his guns around and fought back. Ao Tsongtian roared, leaped up, and smashed the black iron stick downwards with both hands. The leading Crow soldier looked at him indifferently, then quickly moved aside, allowing the black iron rod to hit the pool in front of him. Ao Tsongtian was a black chariot-class alien, and his mighty attack was powerful enough to split mountains and rocks, but it only caused a splash in the pool and did not cause any harm to him. The moment he fell, the Crow soldier coldly raised the spear in his hand and smashed it on his head. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.